but it's my video, so I put it in there.
This next poem is called Dear Pianist, with a T. And it's about my wife, and her name's Brandy.
I'm riding a road. I drove to California on my own to try to get myself sad enough to write a new album. I prayed and prayed for a salve that would heal the pain in my heart. Once the wound was held together, I pulled the stitching apart. It's like the Lord answered all of my prayers, and now I want my questions back and search for ways despite His grace and get my old gods back. Dear, I can't pretend that I didn't thrive off of the emptiness that I felt inside before the Spirit invaded the void, just like I asked Him to and shared with all of you. Like I stepped out the front door and tossed up my keys to find myself in a closet, stuffed with all of my insecurities and all the things that I'm ashamed of. And every broken memory that I keep to cut my wrists will be in vain or be in pity. I know that I still bleed. And I keep the shards of mirror glass to see my expression as I seep out onto the carpet and stain my bare feet in a puddle that I will drown in, 8 quarts deep. When I was a boy, my daddy told me to unclench my fists, hold out my hands flat like this, and pray. Like a picture of letting the Lord take your fears away. And He forgot to loosen His grip when it came time to practice it. So the thought got convoluted the day that He went away. And Jesus, if you see this, I hope I see Him again someday. I drove along the western coast to try to write a poem that someone could relate to. I reopened every wound and bled myself dry just to try to feel the same way that I used to. I drove past the city at night with the windows down to watch the lights and get so cold that I'm uncomfortable. And I'll do it to myself. These headphones can be playing something else, but we're at the bottom of everything, like the songwriter sings. And I make myself shiver until I believe it. Well, I know every word to every song about despair. And I keep the albums on repeat to keep me there, like she hit that first note, and then that note set me free. I fell in love with her sadness before she fell in love with me. But the best letters, the ones written in tears that smear the ink, so she played the keys and I started writing. I wrapped that sorrow up tight like a noose around my neck. Stood tall on a flimsy card table and kicked it out from underneath my legs. I've been hanging in a house of cards for months on end, swinging back and forth beneath the creaking rafter with the wind's every whim. I always forgot to close the windows so that I could let in the cold, knowing discomfort and disappointment were the only peace I had ever known. I have got excuse upon excuse for every broken bone, but in the end, I broke the law myself to give the pain a home. Dear pianist, I love you more than you will ever know. I swear your smile saved my life. I swear your touch made me whole. But there is not an end to the self-condemning lies that I have believed. And there is no depth that I have not known in an attempt to drown myself or set myself free to the point of pushing you away from me. I drove the country on my own in an attempt to break my heart. And I opened my heart to every fleeting hope in an attempt to fall apart, she said. We fall apart and into our gods, and God meets us where we are. And what a thought! It's a little life that's free, but we are such a self-destructive bunch, aren't we? Ryder, you are a part of me, and there is nothing that you can do to set to flame the fabric that has woven me to you. I will not be your broken heart. I will not be your empty oath. Look with our hands laid flat in surrender. I swear that all of us can let go of the chains that choke us. They wrap their hands around our throats, and I will play you a new song, and the lyrics that you wrote will accompany the melody. And every word she spoke was a land of milk and honey that I thought I'd never know. I drove to Washington on my own to sorrow in the rain, where we danced over every puddle, and joy washed the pain away, and it rode down and out beyond the Puget Sound, out beyond its shores to a whisper beyond the horizon, to be forgotten and thought of no more. Thank you. So somebody at the first week of this tour tried to argue with me about how Dragon Ball Z characters are better superheroes than Superman. He lost. The argument. I mean, it's not even the same category, right? You don't have to like Superman to know that he's not right? That's not a poem, I'm just trying to interact, but that's cool. It's like the Spirit answered all of my prayers, and now I resent him for it. I used to take so much time for myself to just sit and be silent. I haven't heard that sound in years, but I replaced it with a lot of voices that claim to be God. The first poem that I ever wrote was about San Francisco and the homeless and what I was told. I was 12 years old and I write poor white bro with chips from Nabisco. Given to a beggar as he pushed his cart down the road. That boy got buried beneath hay and ashberry, beneath the Ben and Jerry's in a big city and a pretty girl. Man, it's the only thing that he needs to get his heart to beating again. This all used to be for nothing and no one. Now I shout transparency, and I miss every single one of my secrets. I would rather know pain than be numb, but then again, we ask for the opiates to numb the pain for us. Well, I always fall asleep to dream of mending up my wounds, and wait to spend the day reliving every bruise for the sake of a sad song, or a sweet repose, or seeing the blood flow from the stitching like it were a cavalry of demons in retreat, promising to leave me alone. They are liars. The release has never been as satisfying as the promise to fix what's been sown. We get bottled up like the alcohol gets bottled up, and then we bottle it up in us. And I search for ways to define myself by some skeptical lack of trust, because if I can't trust in anything, I'm not to blame for my lack of movement. I can abuse all of you in your pity, and I can convolute it. And my sister used to sing when she was younger, and the world that got her throat. She put that dream away while coming of age, acted as a serpent, and questioned her home. When I was younger, I wanted to be a cowboy. And then I wanted to be Superman. And then I wanted to wear my fake green snakeskin plastic Walmart cowboy boots with my red inside-out underwear, the blue sweatpants, the blue long-sleeve shirt, the red bath towel cape, and the iron-on yellow felt ass mom costume and be cowman. I'm a cow, man. Said all of my fantasies about my wife to be were based upon things I should have never seen. All of our fantasies about our wives to be based on positions that should have never been idolized by our eyes. Worshipped as though they gave us life, and that's the nature of the beast. And he still squirms next to wisdom as she screams, clawing for me on the streets. And how does life begin as a seed that turns out to scream for something? Like someone misnamed gift for to be inherently found wanting, and there is so much joy to be had. And tell me why I went wrong. For all of the times that I had tried to satisfy my mom, I still cannot write one joy-filled song, and I tried. And come October, I thought that I could do it. November threw us into a whirlwind again, and come January, I knew it. All of the things that I told anyone that would listen about the hope that I had found are lying in a hotel bathroom and a puddle of blood on the ground. And someone will love that because it's honest. The rest will hate it because it's crude. And as for me, anytime I stand and give my testimony to a crowd, I will lie awake at night and wonder about whether or not I told the truth. God forgive me! I believe so many lies that come from the mouths of so many good liars, namely me. I'd rather tie a millstone around my neck and throw myself into the sea than perpetuate some emotionally driven blasphemy that you don't care for the suffering servant. Give your children eyes to see the wonders that you have for them, and ears to hear the direction of their wandering feet. you grieve with me, look at the cross, the promise we receive. I will grieve with you with groanings too deep for words. I will sympathize with the temptation and believe the lies that you have heard. I will mourn over the loss of finite family and friends. And I will defeat death so that you will know that death is not the end. At the cross of Christ, I know that the bonds of sin are broken, that they bar the gates of hell for me, and that heaven's doors are open as wide as my sweet Savior's arms were stretched out when he died, and love has defeated death with a life for me to hope in. At the cross of Christ, I know that despair